What if I told you that the biggest burden in your life isn't your job, your bills, your past, or even the people who hurt you? What if the heaviest thing you carry every day is something you choose to carry? Most people never realize this. They spend years blaming others for their stress, anger, and unhappiness. But today, you're about to hear a story that may change the way you see every argument, every insult, and every disappointment for the rest of your life. Stay with me until the end because the final lesson is something most people learn too late, if they learn it at all. And if you enjoy stories about human psychology, inner strength, and life changing wisdom, subscribe to the channel and join us on this journey. Now, let me tell you the story of Thomas and the Stones. In a peaceful village surrounded by green hills and flowing streams lived a young man named Thomas. Thomas wasn't a bad person. He was hardworking, honest, kind when life treated him well. But he had one problem. He reacted to everything. A rude comment ruined his day. A criticism stayed in his mind for weeks. A small disagreement became a battle inside his head. If someone insulted him, he replayed it over and over again. If someone betrayed him, he carried the pain for years. And slowly, without realizing it, Thomas became exhausted. He smiled less, laughed less, enjoyed life less. What nobody knew was that Thomas had a strange habit. Whenever someone hurt him, he imagined the hurt as a stone. Every insult became a stone. Every betrayal became a stone. Every disappointment became a stone. And in his imagination, he placed each stone into a large bag he carried on his back. At first, the bag felt light, but years passed. The stones multiplied. Soon the bag became so heavy that Thomas felt tired all the time. He woke up tired. He walked tired. He even dreamed tired. One morning, he looked at his reflection and barely recognized himself. His shoulders were bent. His eyes looked empty. His spirit felt trapped. That day, he decided to leave the village and climb the mountain behind it. He hoped the fresh air would clear his mind. As he walked up the winding path, every step felt painful. The bag seemed heavier than ever. Hours later, he noticed an old merchant approaching from the opposite direction. The merchant looked poor. His clothes were simple. His belongings fit into a tiny bundle. Yet something about him seemed different. His face carried peace. His eyes carried warmth, and despite his age, he walked with incredible lightness. When the merchant reached Thomas, he smiled. "My young friend," he said, "you look exhausted." Thomas sighed. "I am." The merchant looked at the enormous bag. "What are you carrying?" "Stones," Thomas replied. The merchant raised an eyebrow. "Stones?" Thomas opened the bag. Inside were hundreds of stones. Large ones, small ones, sharp ones, heavy ones. "What do they represent?" asked the merchant. Lens. Thomas looked down. "They are the things people have done to me. The insults, the betrayals, the lies, the disappointments." The merchant remained silent for a moment. Then he asked a question Thomas would never forget. "If these stones belong to those people, why are you carrying them?" Thomas had no answer. The merchant picked up two small stones from the ground. He placed one on the path. He handed the other to Thomas. The first stone represents the action. The second stone represents your reaction. The person who hurt you threw the first stone and walked away. He pointed at the stone on the ground. But you picked up the second stone. He pointed at the stone in Thomas's hand. And you've been carrying it ever since. Thomas felt something shift inside him. For the first time, he realized that the pain wasn't only coming from what happened. It was coming from what he continued to carry. The merchant smiled gently. "Your reaction is your burden." Those words echoed inside Thomas's mind. Your reaction is your burden. Your reaction is your burden. Suddenly, he thought about every sleepless night, every argument replayed 1,000 times, every grudge, every resentment, every wound. How much of that suffering had been self-created? The merchant sat beside the road. "Let me tell you a story." Thomas listened. "There was once a man who carried burning coals everywhere he went. Whenever someone offended him, he picked up another coal. He believed he was saving them to throw back one day." The merchant paused, but years passed. "And do you know who got burned?" Thomas nodded slowly. "The man carrying the coals." "Exactly." The merchant smiled. "Anger is like that." Then he shared another story. There was once a king who received a letter filled with insults from his enemy. The king read the letter, folded it, and continued eating dinner. His servants were shocked. "Aren't you angry?" they asked. The king replied, "If I react to every insult, I become a servant to everyone who wishes to control me." Thomas sat silently. The words felt true. Then the merchant told him about a wise teacher. One day a man shouted insults at the teacher for several minutes. When he finally stopped, the teacher asked, "If someone offers you a gift and you refuse it, who keeps the gift?" "The giver," replied the man. "Then I refuse your insults," said the teacher. For the first time in years, Thomas laughed. A genuine laugh. The merchant stood. "Now tell me, how many stones in your bag still deserve to be there?" Thomas opened the bag. He looked at the stones. Some represented insults from years ago. Others represented arguments nobody even remembered anymore. Some belonged to people he hadn't seen in a decade. Yet he was still carrying them. One by one, he removed the stones. And as each stone touched the ground, he felt lighter, a little freer, a little calmer, a little happier. Hours passed. By sunset, the bag was almost empty. Thomas stood. For the first time in years, his shoulders felt light. The merchant smiled. The world didn't change. The people didn't change. The past didn't change. You changed. Weeks passed. Thomas returned to the village. Life continued. People still criticized. People still complained. People still made mistakes. But Thomas had learned something powerful. Whenever someone insulted him, he imagined a stone being thrown. Then he asked himself a simple question. Do I want to carry this? Most of the time, the answer was no, and he left the stone where it landed. Slowly, his peace returned, his smile returned, his joy returned. Years later, people began asking Thomas why he always seemed calm. He would simply smile and say, "Because I stopped carrying stones that don't belong to me." Now, before this story ends, I want to leave you with a simple exercise. Tonight, before you sleep, close your eyes. Think about one thing that bothered you today. A rude comment, a disappointment, a mistake. Imagine it as a stone in your hand. Feel its weight. Then say quietly, "This stone is not mine to carry." Take a slow breath. Place the stone on the ground in your imagination and walk away. Do this every night, one stone at a time, one burden at a time, one reaction at a time, because peace doesn't come from controlling the world. Peace comes from controlling what you carry. Remember this, not every insult deserves your attention. Not every criticism deserves your energy. Not every stone deserves a place in your heart. Your reaction shapes your reality. Your reaction shapes your future. And your reaction is your power. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share it with someone who may be carrying too many stones. Until next time, walk lightly, choose wisely, and protect your peace.